even in my weekly life, just having downtime, you may even have to change the way like you approach how you do your relationships, right? Because for me, I grew up being like a person of compassion and care. So everyone called me for everything.
Yeah.
Even my grown siblings used to call me for advice. They always was like, you're so wise. And I was like a 12-year-old little kid.
Wow.
But I had to outgrow that role being like attached to my identity and how I presented in relationships. I had to learn how to ask for what I need and let people care for me.
Yeah.
And also how to let my muscle of compassion rest.
Yeah.
I don't have to always be exercising that muscle or that crayon. There's other crayons to color with.
Oh, that's
right?
good, girl.
And so I had to learn how to build relationships where they made room for my joy, right? They didn't just call what they pain. It wasn't, girl, this was going on. It's also like, well, girl, hold on, wait a minute. What was good today? Girl, let's talk about that.
Right,
you know what I mean?
right.
Or just positive conversations that filled me back up. So if you're 9 to 5 in it with therapy, you can't 5 to 9 it in your family and friends' life and be their, unpaid personal therapist.
Yeah.
So you got to have those boundaries and make sure that your personal relationships are mutually supportive and that there's a presence of joy so you have strength to come back into the calling of being other people's therapists.
Spotlights on, the moment's here. Voices of change, rising clear, leading with heart, fearless and bright, purpose and passion, light in the night. From the boardroom to the block, moving mountains, breaking locks with Tige. Charity we rise, real talk, real life, real highs. So step in the light while leaders grow. This is Leaders in the Spotlight. Welcome to the show.
Welcome to another episode of Leaders in the Spotlight, where we share the highs, lows, and plot twists in leadership. I'm Tige Charity, your host. Today's guest is truly a gift to all of us, Miss Ahneishia Washington, a licensed marriage and family therapist, founder of Kingdom Counseling Solutions, a virtual private practice offering cultural competent care to patients of color, people of faith, and those from urban communities. Ahneishia is a proud Compton native who began her mental health journey while earning her master's in counseling from Cal State Long Beach. She launched an empowerment camp for inner city girls and was honored by the California Legislature Assembly for her impact. Known as the CPT-MFT on social media, Ahneishia blends therapy, workshops, and public speaking to promote mental wellness in faith-based and underserved communities. As a Black Christian therapist, she bridges the gap in representation, helping others heal by honoring the intersections of culture, faith, and identity, transforming lives one session at a time. But what she doesn't know is that today's episode is really just my personal therapy session. So I'm just letting y'all listen in. Ahneishia, welcome to the show.
Oh my goodness, thank you for having me. That was beautiful.
So that's you, girl. That's all you. So tell us about Ahneishia, the therapist. Girl, that's a special calling.
Yeah, it is
to be a therapist.
It
to
is
sit and listen to people's stuff.
Yeah.
All day.
Yeah. It is a lot. It takes a grace. It is something I think I've been graced for since I was a child. So, of course, I've been a therapist for the past 10 years, including getting my master's. But I think I've been a counselor at heart my whole life.
Really?
Yes. Like, I have memories when I was probably like age 6, just being in school. And I had at least 2 friends within elementary and middle school that lost a mother. And when, these friends' parents passed away, for some reason, my teacher asked me to put my work in my desk and if I could take them out to the playground and comfort them. So I definitely believe like there was a gifting there that even my teacher was sensitive to. And she could see that I had a lot of compassion for people.
Yeah.
So it's been there.
That's amazing when you have adults around you who see the gift and help sort of nurture or tap into it, or even expose you to the gift that you probably didn't even realize you had at such a tender age, or just didn't know what it was.
Absolutely.
At such a young age. Tell us about growing up, though. Do you have any therapists in your family? Are you the first? Talk about it. Let's see. Do you have any siblings? Tell us who you are.
So I have a lot of siblings. currently, I do have therapists in my family, but I didn't grow up with therapists in my family. I am the first therapist. Now I do have a sister who is in the process of studying for her licensing exam as a social worker. And then I have another sister who is in her undergrad program for psychology. So
you kind of set the pathway for the others.
I mean, it's just special that God would even like see fit because I'm the youngest.
Oh,
but
wow.
he had me kind of take those first steps that opened the door. And I don't think we even had any idea that we all had an interest in serving people in this way. But I'm sure one day God is going to like bring it all together between us. Yep.
Wow.
Absolutely.
So what were you like? I mean, just growing up, like what was your personality like? Were you just, I mean, it sounds like you were always a nurturer.
Definitely.
Always sort of this caring personality.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. So as a kid, I was very shy. I was very soft. I'm still a very soft, gentle person, but I've come more into my vibrance, including the colorfulness.
Okay, Miss Beautiful and Vibrant.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. But yeah, so it took me a while to really learn my personality because I was a lot more withdrawn, much more observant. And I think probably by the age of 12, I broke out of that shyness and I started to like explore that vibrant side of me where I can be a little loud and the life of the party. And over the years, I feel like I've come into that balance. I'm kind of like an ambivert, right? And I had to learn that even in the recent years because I thought I was an extrovert for most of my life. But then I feel like God started taking me back to my childhood where before I came out of my shell, I was always doing creative things just to myself. I would write poetry. I would write stories. I would set my Barbies up and come up with plays. I was writing songs and I would call my mom's voicemail and record them on the voicemail to where nobody else could leave a message. And she's like, girl, if you don't write them songs down so people can leave a message. But I did a lot of things by myself because I am so much younger than the rest of my siblings. So I kind of grew up a little bit separate from them. They were teens and adults by the time I was having my childhood. And I feel like now God has shown me like the balance between that nurturing and compassionate and creative side of me and then the vibrant, interpersonal person that kind of brings people together and like how all of those come into play in my life and my career now.
Wow. So when did you decide to start a private practice and why?
Yes. So I started my practice in 2021. Well, I decided to start it in 2021. I launched it in 2022. But I came from a community mental health setting and I've worked in agencies in the past. As a therapist, you have to get 3,000 hours of experience after you get your master's degree. And so that takes a few years of working in the field. And so I was working in the field and then 2021, I got COVID and I got it severely. So I was hospitalized. I had vitiligo on my face. I had low functioning kidneys. I had lung damage. I had pneumonia. And so I went on like a year or really like a year and a half long journey of healing from that. And I remember some years back while I was still working at agencies, I heard the Lord tell me Kingdom Counseling Solutions. I did not know what it was. I just wrote it down in my journal, had it there, never knew what that would be. And then when I was healing from COVID and going through the recovery of the long-term damage that long COVID left me with, I heard God tell me Kingdom Counseling Solutions is your private practice. And so he basically told me like, you're going to build this while you're healing because I couldn't see clients during that first year at least because my lungs would stop mid-sentence. So all of the fighting my lungs did in like the 1 month of like that severe active COVID left them fatigued. And so basically they would get tired and take a break. They'd be like, girl, I'm done. Right. And it would take just speaking for like a couple of seconds at a time or walking for a few steps at a time. I had to be on a walker and all these things. So it was like a serious thing, but it was also such a beautiful blossoming because God purposed the time in the recovery and the rest for me to be building the bricks of the business that I have now. So, the whole time I was healing, I just was putting things in place and learning how to start a business because I had no idea about that world. I knew how to be a therapist, but I did not know how to be a private practice owner. And that was the time I learned.
How do your clients find you?
Yeah, so right now, of course, I have a website where I have my information at kingdomcounselingsolutions.com. But then I also am on a lot of different directories.
Okay.
So one of the most popular ones is psychologytoday.com, where most people find their therapist. So you can find my profile there.
Okay.
I'm also on therapyforblackgirls.com. I'm also on a platform called Simple Practice, where they have a directory called Monarch, and I have a profile there. And so most clients find me that way. And then
Okay.
sometimes it's by referrals, whether it's from personal people who know me and are like, hey, I know a good therapist, and they refer me to someone.
Yeah.
Business to business referrals, some psychiatrists reach out. And then most of the time it's clients who had a great experience working with me and refer me to their
It's the
family
best
and
compliment,
friends.
right?
Yeah,
Absolutely.
absolutely.
Well, we know May is Mental Health Awareness Month, and it's Foster Care Awareness Month. You know, foster care is our lane that we operate in at Kids in the Spotlight. So I was about to say just Foster Care Awareness Month, but it is also Mental Health Awareness Month.
Yes.
Why is mental health so important, especially in the Black community?
Yes. Well, mental health is essential, right? For us to be well in our mind, our thought processes, but also mental health includes emotional health, relational health, spiritual health. We say mental health, but it's like an umbrella term, right?
Yeah.
It includes all these different dynamics of our well-being.
Yeah.
And when we're not well in one or the other, it has an impact
on the other areas.
The way we function in our life.
Yeah.
And so for me, mental health is vital, right? Having the tools, having the support system, having the care to be able to kind of get to a healthy place if you are struggling, because life comes with ups and downs. We never know what we could experience and how it could impact us.
Yeah.
And so being able to like know how to reach out for support when you need it, know how to recognize the signs when something is off or you're not functioning well or feeling like your best self is vital, really.
Yeah. But I should ask you, do you find that in the Black community, though, people have, from my history of growing up, people have always been very hesitant
Yes.
to seek mental health counseling
Yes.
and emotional health counseling. Have you seen a change in our community?
I think there's a slow change happening.
Okay.
And just to circle back and answer why is mental health important in the Black community, if we think about our history in this country, at least in America, right? We've come from 400 years of trauma, right? Experiencing enslavement, experiencing, generational trauma of racism, of rape, of watching people be killed and murdered. Like that's serious stuff that stays with a person, and not just stays with a person, but stays with a generation.
Yeah.
And so we didn't have permission to heal.
We
didn't
were
have
suppressed.
permission to, you had to survive. You had to keep going. And so honestly, I understand the stigmas, and I understand why there's a lot of mistrust within the, mental health care industry, because just within my field as a licensed marriage and family therapist, I'm one of 12%. 12% of MFTs are African American. That's a very small number, right? We are the minority within this field of support. And so part of the mistrust is like, you don't often find therapists that look like you. And I think that this is a time where visibility is happening and representation is happening, and more Black people are coming into the field of mental health care.
Yeah.
And so that people could feel comfortable to reach out and feel like they can get relatable care.
Yeah.
But also too, historically, there has been, incidents of medical harm, even if it wasn't just in mental health, right? If we think of, Sarah Bartman, if we think of Henrietta Lacks, like these are Black women whose bodies have been misused, whose vulnerability has been misused within, science, within medical care.
Right.
And so there's stories of mental health as well, right? We've seen that within women's history, where, someone may be having, symptoms tied to their menstrual cycle, and they were labeled as, hysterical, and then maybe that led to being in the psych ward. Yeah. And so there hasn't really been like a history of safety when it comes to people reaching out for care, and it takes integral therapists who are really here for the people to like show up and be present, and for people to know that it is healthy to get support. It's just making sure the kind of support that you get is really in your corner.
Yeah. How do you find the right therapist though? Is it let's try this one, let's try that one? Like, because I think if you're sitting and you're speaking with someone, it has to be the right person.
It does.
How do you, I mean, what recommendation could you give for people that are searching for a therapist? How do you build that trust?
Yeah. Well, starting with finding, and then we could talk about building the trust. So I have a therapist, and I searched high and low for my therapist. Even as a therapist, sometimes it can be very hard in such a process to find the right fit because, you know, it's one thing to just be trying therapy for the first time, but it's another thing when you're going through a season and you have very specific needs, when you want to make sure that this person understands your culture, your identity, your faith, if that's something a part of your life, you know, your ethnic and racial background, your upbringing, the neighborhood you come from, the tribes that you deal with in day-to-day life. And of course, you're not going to be vetting your therapist for their personal story, right? Because that's a personal choice if we want to use our story as a tool. But we have skills that we've literally professionally been trained for and paid for to learn, right? But you do want to vet them for relatability in their style of care, right? That they can understand the values and sensitivities important to you and that you respond well to their style and their approach. And so I always recommend people to ask if a therapist provides a free 15-minute or 10-minute consultation call.
Okay.
All therapists may not provide that, which is understandable because it is unpaid time, right? It is a therapist giving of themselves just so that you can feel safe to get started. But if they do, that's your opportunity to ask questions, right? To find out, to say, hey, I'm looking for a female therapist or a male therapist or a Black therapist or a Christian therapist, or what's your approach or what's your style, or, you know, how do you deal with trauma? Or how do you deal with a couple going through infidelity, right? These are good questions that you could ask, and then you can get a feel within those 15 minutes if you feel comfortable. It does not take long. We know in everyday life when someone says, how you doing? And you know if you could give them a real live, girl, this is how I'm doing. Or if you be like, I'm fine. Right? You feel safety, and it happens even when you have that first touch of contact in that 15-minute call. So that's a starting point in terms of finding someone. And then finding the right fit, I think, comes as you go. So when you're in your work in therapy, I feel like giving it at least 12 sessions. Right? At least 12 weeks, right? If you were going to be trying to change something in your body, you would give it a good 3 months. I would be going to this gym a good 3 months. So why not the same within your mental health, right? Give it 12 good sessions. And then along the way, you can kind of get a feel for how things are going. And the great thing about having a therapist is you can advocate for yourself if something's not working. We are the least judgmental. We are literally taught
You're trained not to judge, right?
Positive regard for our clients. And if you struggle being assertive in your other relationships, your therapeutic professional relationship with your therapist is not a place that you have to worry about that. You can say what you need. You can say, hey, I think I need some more hands-on things. Can I have some homework in between? Because you know, our sessions are good, but then in the week I get derailed. You can ask for that, right? So just openly discussing your needs as you go and giving it a good amount of time. Don't do one session unless you really feel like you got, you know, just kind of like a clear indication that it's not a good fit. But don't do one session and then give up. Right? Change cannot happen in one session. A seed could be planted in one session. But we can't do the watering. We can't get the sun in there. We can't see the things sprout up. And so engage in the process for a few sessions. Try to aim for 12. But if you can't get that far, at least 3. To get a feel.
That's a good foundation, just kind of at least so you can test to see, like you said, if it's a good fit or not. So have you had a client that your session with them just weighed so heavily on you? Have you had, how have you managed that? I know you said you have your own therapist, but how do you manage cases that just seem to be just overwhelming?
Absolutely. It happens. It happens often with clients sometimes. And I think you learn as you go. Because I have been a therapist for 10 years, I've gotten to kind of learn my needs and my grooves because my instrument is my person, right? And so a lot of people think that therapy is just like sitting and listening, but it's a whole body experience, right? I'm processing as you're talking. I'm conceptualizing as you're talking. I'm remembering things from when I did your assessment and you told me what happened when you were 3, and you told me about your relationship with your mom, and you told me about your first date and the expectations that you had and how that funnels into how you see your spouse. I'm coming up with all of that and putting a puzzle piece together every session as we engage. I'm also monitoring my presentation to make sure that I'm with you emotionally, but that I'm not too emotional to where you start to feel a need to care for me, right? So just human enough.
Therapist,
but also,
do you need a hug?
Right, like I can't fully fall apart because then you're going to be like, girl, you want this tissue box, right? And so it's a whole body thing.
Yeah.
Like I'm using my whole person, my mind, my heart, and my physical body to be present for 1 full hour with somebody through the hardest parts of their lives.
Yeah.
And you feel it. And so because I know that and I've learned what that looks like and how it impacts me, I space my sessions out in, you know, like a appropriate amount of time so that I have a full hour lunch break, and then I give myself another 30-minute break in between to decompress.
Yeah.
I also, when I'm taking on a client, I look at my caseload, I identify where there's clients that are dealing with heavier things. You don't want to have a 6-session day of trauma.
Yeah.
Right? So maybe we got, someone dealing with trauma, and then maybe we put somebody that's just trying to build their self-esteem.
Okay.
And then maybe we put another person that's trying to learn about boundaries.
Yeah.
Right? Maybe we put somebody that is working on communication skills.
Yeah.
And then you have a good mix of lighter things that are skill-oriented and then heavier things that are deep process work.
Yeah.
But you don't want to have all day of process work. Right?
Yeah.
It's just like if you, think of like your support system and your family and friends. If all your family and friends had their worst day and they all called you on the same day,
Oh, gosh.
and they all needed an hour each, that would be a lot.
Ooh, child.
Right. And so we have to look at our week and our schedule and just make sure we're giving ourselves a realistic flow for this body, which is our instrument.
Wow. Ooh, that's good, but that sounds like a lot of work.
Yeah, we learn as we go, though.
So it just becomes sort of natural to you to be able to space that out.
I think as therapists, we really are graced for what we do in terms of like holding the level of compassion and composure to sit with people through their hardest pains.
Definitely. You have to be emotionally mature.
Oh, for sure. Yes.
Because I'm telling you, if you cry, I'm going to fall out on the floor with you, and I'm going to be crying right with you.
Yeah. And, sometimes that could be a tool to cry with your client, right? Because we're present with you and we feel with you. And some clients don't really have like that inner permission to know that they can let it out. And so seeing another human being acknowledge that was really hurtful, that was really painful, that was really hard what you went through, it's valid for you to cry.
Yeah.
That could really be reassuring.
Yeah.
But I think those are little things that with experience we kind of learn over time. And then I think we also as therapists learn how to have an inner compass of when kind of the signs of burnout are on the horizon.
Yeah.
I'm learning my signs, and sometimes you have to relearn your signs because, you get a good flow for a certain season or a certain caseload. Maybe you've taken on a few more clients in a specific niche and you didn't realize like, man, this kind of stays with me.
Yeah.
And so there's certain things that I put into play, like every 3 months I take a vacation, a staycation, a haycation, a daycation. I'll get somewhere and set out.
I'm checking out for a little bit.
Yep, I know that I need that at least once a quarter. More often, I love to get to that place where I could have something, to go away more often. But then even in my weekly life, just having downtime, you may even have to change the way like you approach how you do your relationships, right? Because for me, I grew up being like a person of compassion and care. So everyone called me for everything. Yeah. Even my grown siblings used to call me for advice. They always like, you're so wise. And I was like a 12-year-old little kid.
Wow.
But I had to outgrow that role being like attached to my identity and how I presented in relationships. I had to learn how to ask for what I need and let people care for me. Yeah. And also how to let my muscle of compassion rest. Yeah. I don't have to always be exercising that muscle or that crayon. There's other crayons to color with.
Oh, that's good, girl.
And so I had to learn how to build relationships where they made room for my joy, right? They didn't just call what they pain. It wasn't, girl, this was going on. It's also like, well, girl, hold on, wait a minute. What was good today? Girl, let's talk about that.
Right,
you know what I mean?
Right.
Just positive conversations that filled me back up. So if you're 9 to 5 in it with therapy, you can't 5 to 9 it in your family and friends' life and be their, unpaid personal therapist. Yeah. So you got to have those boundaries and make sure that your personal relationships are mutually supportive and that there's a presence of joy, so you have strength to come back into the calling of being other people's therapists.
Oh my goodness, that is so good. Because I can only imagine being friends with a therapist. I would just be like, girl, look, let me tell you about my day. Let me tell you about my. So having just that emotional intelligence to be able to know that, hey, this is our time. We girlfriends. I'm not your personal therapist right now. And being able to be real about that.
Yes.
Have you read I think it's Anita Phillips' book, The Garden Within?
I haven't. I know Dr. Anita Phillips. I follow her on Instagram, but I haven't read her book.
You haven't? Okay.
It's good?
Oh my gosh. It is so good. I mean, she just, for me, unpacked therapy in such a way that's palatable for me and that I can understand it and really see that my well-being is this beautiful garden that has to be nurtured and has to be grown and have to be all the things that you've shared. I'm seeing a garden as you speak.
I love that.
Right?
I'm such a flower girl, so that hits home.
And I like magnolias, so I see my little magnolia just blossoming. Okay?
Yes.
But let me tell you, what do you do? I mean, you talked about going away for therapy, not therapy, but like vacations, staycations, and things like that, right? Is there anything else you do for self-care?
Yeah, absolutely. Having downtime, quiet time, rest and peace, something that is not super demanding, casual. I love fashion. I love poetry. I love live music. I love good food. I love a good movie. And it really is just like scheduling it into your week for that to be a normal part of life. And now listen, when I got a little budget, I love a spa. Okay? Going over there to Burke Williams or somebody and let somebody work it out.
Look.
Yeah, those are things I do for self-care. And then honestly, one of the things I share with a lot of my clients who come in for like faith-centered support that are Christian and they want to merge, you know, their walk with God and their mental health journey, I tell them, like, we have built-in coping skills in our walk with Christ and in our relationship with the Holy Spirit. Worship is a coping skill.
Hey, girl,
ain't no relief.
Let me just drink my whole cup of water on that, okay?
Yes, and when I'm feeling overwhelmed or heavy from either like my own life stuff or even just, you know, the impact of taking in a lot of people's hard stories, I take it to God and I leave it there. Okay. I give him everything in worship, in prayer, and filling myself with the word and just spending time with him really like recharges me.
I know that's right.
So he's a part of my self-care.
Look, hey,
I'm under his care. Okay.
Don't make me the girl. Let me keep my composure. Okay.
Yeah.
Love that. I got my 5-minute warning sign. Okay. That's probably been 5 minutes ago. But I'm going to ask you this one last question. Who are some of the leaders you admire?
Yeah. You know, I'll share a therapist and then I'll share like other leaders. I really do admire a therapist named Nidra Tawwab. She has a book called Set Boundaries, Find Peace.
Set Boundaries, Find Peace?
Yes.
I need that book.
Yeah, that book is really, really good. But I really liked watching her, at least her social presence of her journey and how she's, you know, she's a therapist. She has a caseload. I believe she might be a professor. Don't quote me on that. But she's developed a social community where she's a voice for mental health outside of the one-to-one sessions. Because what we do in therapy is confidential, right?
Right.
And so we're watching people have really big wins, but we can't tell nobody about it.
Right.
Right. And so being able to have like all the nuggets that you pour into somebody one-to-one interpersonally and bring it into a public platform and be a resource to people virtually, even if it's not like a clinical personal therapist, it's still a clinical voice where they can grab a little tool of what they need and take it into their life. And that's something I'm inspired by. I really would like to continue to build a community presence and allow some of the wisdom that God has given me in healing to be accessible to people who might not be able to be on my caseload. So I'm inspired by her. I'm inspired by another therapist. I think her name is Jaszmin. And I've kind of watched her on social media make a shift from just seeing clients to now being like a voice in mental health within the media. And so I know that she has a YouTube channel and she's kind of like a content creator. And then I've also seen her on some shows. And it's almost like taking that interpersonal impact and now taking it to like a world stage, right? And so I like Nidra for like that community virtual presence. I like Keandra for that world stage and infusing mental health into the media.
Yeah.
Another leader I really love is Miley Teal. I like her content. I like her authenticity. I've watched her online kind of transition from one industry to another, and now even to like having a community of moms that she's supporting through, like post-birth care and things like that. And one thing that has been consistent is she's shown up in excellence in them all. And so for me, what she represents is just like, your gift is not locked into a role or a field, right? Your gift can still be active and take a new form and reach a new people. And so those are people that really like inspire me.
Oh, girl, you got some good inspiration. We're going to look up all of them, okay?
Yeah.
This has been amazing. Ahneishia, thank you so much. Is there anything else that you would like to share before I land this plane that I don't want to land because I'm ready to go back in gear and take off again? But is there anything you want to share before we end?
Yeah, I mean, this has been such a blessing being here. And I just want to like encourage people, especially in the month of May, to reach out, to find a therapist, to get support for their mental health, to start to rebuild in the areas where they took a hit in their life, because sometimes we can go through seasons and we obtain injuries from the season and we just learn how to walk with a limp. But knowing like you could actually heal and you could actually process it with somebody and go back and get your stuff. So one of the things that I always like to leave with my clients is like, get your joy back, right? Get your peace back. It belongs to you. You can have that, right? Like depression is not your friend. So it's not my depression. It's not my anxiety. It's my experience of depression, my experience of anxiety. We lock it into just an experience, not a personality, not an identity. And then we bring joy back in to be a part of who we are.
Yes.
So I just want to encourage people to go back and get your joy. And if it's hard, get some help.
Y'all, I feel like the plane is back in the air.
Amen.
This was amazing. Ahneishia, thank you so much.
You're so welcome. Thank you.
You guys, take your mental health, emotional health seriously and reach out if you need support. Give yourself permission to reach out. That is our show for today. I hope you've heard something to help you on your leadership journey. And until next time, please like, share, and subscribe. And also let us know if you like our new set. We're in a new season 6 of the show, and we're trying out new sets. So hit us up in the comments and let us know what you think about our new set. We want to hear from you. All right. Till next time. Bye now. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that is our show for today. I hope you were inspired and you gained some valuable nuggets that will help you to become a better leader and to walk in your God-given authority. Bye until next time.